Okay, so I'm in a Jamboard. Oh, and another thing I want to say thank you for is a handful of us also asked for help last night. My husband probably wants to say thank you as well, because since there were so many kids asking for help, I had to let him have the remote control for the TV, and he got to watch drag races instead of watching Governor Bullock and Greg Gianforte do a debate. So that's what I wanted to watch, and I wasn't going to let him, but then there were people asking for help, so he got to watch what he wanted to watch. So he says thank you too. Okay, Jamboard, let's get up a new Jamboard here. All right. If you want to, it would be helpful just to watch for this little bit. Okay, so don't hand out your papers yet. All right. Now on this new Jamboard, I'm going to tell you what I mean by flipping and then multiplying. Okay, so what I need to do is I just need to come up with a problem, which I'm going to steal off of our homework assignment, so you'll have an extra answered question when you get that paper later. Okay. So the big deal with reciprocals is if you have a fraction like this, and you're told to give the reciprocal is going to be like this. So what did I do? I flipped it. That's it. That's all you got to do. Reciprocal means flip. And basically, the long and short of it is by flipping, you're undoing a division problem and changing it into a multiplication problem. Doesn't it make sense that division is really multiplication backwards? Okay, so that's why we flip the divisor when we're doing this. Okay, so that's what reciprocals mean. So if you can flip things, you got this in the bag. All right, so if I have this number, I have 1/16 of something, which is really not a big amount of that something, is it? And I need to divide that into eighths. Okay, holy smokes, how do I do that, Mrs. Franzen? You flip and multiply. You ready? All we got to do is flip the divisor and change it to a multiplication problem. Yeah, flip and multiply. Okay, and then we have 8/16. 1 times 8 is 8. 16 times 1 is 16. And we know if you have 8/16, you have half, right? That's easy to see, because like if you have $16 and you want to share half of it with Mrs. Franzen, you're going to give me 8 of them, right? Say yes. Yeah. Okay. So you can't actually pay me on the side. I don't think that's legal. Somebody mentioned that. But if we really wanted to know for sure that that's 1/2, we can change our 8 into its prime factors, which is 2 times 2 times 2. And we can change the 16 into its prime factors, which is 2 times 2, which is 4 times 2, which is 8 times 2 again, which is 16. Then we can cancel out or divide out the samesies, right? Okay, so we have samesies, samesies, samesies. What we're left over is nothing on top, which is always a 1 if there's nothing left. And what we're left over with on the bottom is nothing to multiply, just a 2. So do you see how we simplified that fraction using the prime factorization? And we're confident the answer to this question is 1/2. Okay, so how do you divide fractions? Everybody? Say flip and multiply.
Flip and multiply.
Yeah, you flip and multiply. Can't you guys flip and multiply?
Yep.
All right, so can I. I know you guys can do this. Okay, so the next question looks like this. If I have 6/7, and for some reason my iPad isn't picking up on the fact that I'm trying to do something, so I'm using my mouth to draw, and it looks kind of like I'm a 2-year-old trying to write numbers, and I apologize, but it will be okay. It'll all be okay. So which one do I flip? The first one or the second one? Do you remember? It's always the second one. So I have 6/7, and it's being divided by this number, 3/5. The divisor is always the number you flip, the second number in a division problem when it's written like this. Okay, so I just flipped that 3/5 and now it's 5/3. Okay, and now I'm ready to multiply. Now I have 30. 6 times 5 is 30. What's 7 times 3?
21.
Okay, boom. Am I done? No, I am not done because this 30 is an improper fraction, isn't it? So what do we do to improper fractions to simplify them? You divide. Anytime the number on top of your fraction is bigger than the number on the bottom of your fraction, all that really means is that there's a set of one, at least a set of one whole thing inside that fraction. So what you do then is you go ahead and you divide. So I'm going to go off to the side here and divide that out. The top number always goes inside the division bar. The bottom number is always on the outside. That's your divisor. 21 will fit into 30 one time. How many leftovers do I have? 9 21ths leftovers. Am I done?
Yeah.
Careful. Do 9 and 21 have a factor in common? What is the factor they have in common? 3. So I can say, okay, I have 1 and 9 over 21, but there's a problem with simplifying that little fractional piece. So I'm going to take the 9 21ths and I'm going to show you the prime factorization so we can for sure factor out all the common factors. Okay, what common factor do they have?
3.
They have the 3. So really, 9 21ths is actually equal to 3 sevenths, isn't it? Okay, and I did that on a whole nother piece of paper and you didn't even see because I didn't turn my page on the computer. All right, so the prime factors are 3 times 3 over 3 times 7. I canceled out that one set of 3's. So now for that answer on my other page, I'm going to write the answer down because you'll want that when we get our worksheets here in about 2 shakes. What was the answer again? 1 and, yeah, 9 divided by 3 is 3. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Okay? So it's that easy. How do you divide fractions, everybody? You flip and multiply. Say it again. You flip and multiply. One more time. How do you divide fractions? I think we can do this. So we're going to go ahead and work a few more problems out together after you hand out the worksheets. So I'm going to mute me so I can hand out worksheets. And you guys will hand out those worksheets. I don't know if I can mute me.
Hold control and 4 at the same time.
To this screen?
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Hold control and 4, that's a quick access. There's a little arrow saying mute microphone or take control of the board.
Oh,
And then if you hold those at the same time.
okay. Yes.
How do you spell reciprocal?
Reciprocal is in your math book. And in just a second, you're going to have it on your math paper. So don't go home and tell your parents that you know how to divide. All you do is flip and multiply. They might get mad at you. Just saying. They might think that you're using the word flip and then you flip it over. Okay, does everybody have one of these now?
Wait, I have a question. Wasn't the second answer 3 sevenths? Wasn't the second answer 3 sevenths?
Not yet.
No, the number 8.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. It's not the same problem as number 2. I kind of skipped forward. Okay, my turn to talk, your turn to listen. All right, I have everybody holding their math papers. One of the things I want you to notice on this math paper is it looks like one of those puzzles, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, what's missing? The actual puzzle boxes. The problem I was having is I had a few people whose neighbors figured out the answer to the riddle, And so they put the answers in, and then they conveniently were done with their homework assignment without showing much work. So that actually doesn't help them practice the skills they need to practice to get really good at this mathematics. So I decided just this time, I'm just going to take that off of there. Now, does that mean that we won't know the answer to the riddle and we'll have to die a lonely, lonely death when we're 900 years old, not knowing why the gentleman who was selling watches was unhappy? No, we'll find out tomorrow. I promise. I promise tomorrow I'll put that up on the screen so we can fill that in tomorrow. But for today, we're not going to have that little riddle box because I want all of us to make sure to show all of our mathematical thinking, okay? Because we drink deeply in this knowledge of mathematics, and we want to show Mrs. Franzen how much we know. So yeah, okay. I'm not accusing anyone of cheating. I'm just saying I want to see all of your mathematical thinking. Okay, so as you noticed probably already, the answer to number 1 isn't that first question we looked at. It is actually a weird question, isn't it? Question number 1 says, write the reciprocal of the number. So if you have the number 5, what would the reciprocal be? Who thinks they know the answer? Brody. 1/5 is the answer to number 1. You take 5 over 1 and then you flip it and you get 1/5. Number 2, who thinks they know the reciprocal of 12? Maya, E. Oh, not E, S, sorry, you didn't have your hand up. 1/12. Okay, number 3 is already a fraction. It's 2/3. What's the reciprocal, everybody? 3 over 2, right? 3 halves. Okay, Mrs. Franzen, that can't be right. It's an improper fraction. No, Mrs. Franzen, that's okay, she says. Because when you flip a regular fraction, you're normally going to get an improper fraction. The reciprocal of a fraction that's normal is going to be an improper fraction. Okay, so go ahead and do those other 3. And then number 7 was the question that we were on a minute ago. Okay. It's okay, just ignore it. It's way down deep in there, so okay. So we have 1/16 for number 7 divided by 1/8, okay? And we flip and multiplied. And we got the answer of 1/2, didn't we? Okay, so when you show your mathematical thinking on your separate sheet of paper or on the back of this one, wait just a moment to go get those if you don't have them already, okay? I want you to show all of this. All right, so put your answer down and you'll show all your work on your backside of your paper. Okay. Yeah, I like them folded. Okay. The next question we looked at was question number 8. It was 6/7 divided by 3/5. And we flip and multiplied and got 30/21s. But then we had to simplify that improper fraction, so we divided. And then we had this fraction that needed to be simplified further, but we eventually found out that 1 3/7 was the answer. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment and mute so people can go get a lined piece of paper because there's 25 questions for this puzzle page. So give me just a moment. Okay, go get your lined pieces of paper. You guys, I'm going to run out if you keep borrowing, so make sure you bring some.
I have like index cards.
No. Nice try. You what?
I have one in my backpack.
Oh, I thought it was him that said that.
Is it your phone ringing?
Yes, it was. I forgot to hit.
It was way. It's ringing.
We can ignore it. It's no big deal.
I can't hear it.
So quickly fold it and get started here because we're going to do a few more problems together. Okay? So all of my kiddos have their lined pieces of paper. They're working on folding them. And we're ready to go ahead and look maybe at another example before I mute me and just let you guys work. Okay, so we are on our Jamboard again. And am I still presenting? Can you guys see this? You guys can see it because you're in my room. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so I'm on my Jamboard, page 4 of this particular jam. And I kind of like it that they call them Jamboards now. Number 9. All right, I have 14 divided by 2/7. Okay, Mrs. Franzen, 14 isn't a fraction. How do I turn it into a fraction? Yes.
1/14.
You just put a 1 under it. Right? In order to change a whole number into something that looks like a fraction, you just put a 1 under it, right? Now, which fraction am I going to have to use the reciprocal of? The 2/7. It's always the second one or the divisor, okay? So that's the one I'm flipping. So 14 over 1 and 7 over 2. And what else do I change? I change this guy, don't I? What do I change him into? A multiplication sign. Very good. Now I could do 14 times 7 if I wanted to. Or I could simplify before I multiply. Okay, I will choose to simplify this time before I multiply. And what that means is if you can identify diagonally a factor that the numbers have in common, you can simplify before you multiply. In other words, you can divide out those common factors ahead of time. So what does 14 and 2 have in common? They're both even, so
They both have order.
they're both divisible by 2. 2 divides by 2 and you get a 1, right? And 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay. So now we have 1s on the bottom, which means we're going to end up with a whole number answer because there's nothing left on the bottom. And 49 is on the top. So really what that means is 49 divided by 1, which is 49. Our answer is 49 for that number 9 question. Yes.
Are we doing 9? Are we doing these on the line sheet now?
You can do it however you'd like to show your work. If you want to show your work on the back of the paper for the first few problems, you can. I wouldn't have to show any work for questions 1 through 6 because we were just flipping numbers. All we were doing there was flipping. So questions 7 through 25, as long as you show your work in a nice, neat manner in one of those little rectangles, you can do it on the back of your paper and on a lined sheet of paper, wherever you want to put it. I'll look for them. Okay. So if you want a number now so that we can maybe skip around a little, because if you notice, there's some order of operation problems towards the bottom of the puzzle page. So go ahead and put all your numbers in wherever you're going to show your work right now. Because I'm kind of eyeing one of these. I'm eyeing number, one of them had an adding and a dividing. Either 20 or 21. They both have 11s in them. 11s can be a little hairy. What?
I think the wrong one was on
Okay. So let's look at number 21. Once you have your paper numbered, let's look at number 21. So on number 21, I have 1/2. And then it says to add 7/8. And then it says to divide 11/24. Okay. So from right to left, the first thing we have to take care of is PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. We have no parentheses, we have no exponents. So what do we have to do first?
Divide.
Multiply and divide. So what do we have here is a division problem. So the only thing we can do first, we can't do any adding yet. We must take care of this part of the problem first. Okay, so that 1/2 has to be left alone. This problem is now 7/8 times 24 over 11. Okay, and this is the only part of the problem we're going to solve, and then we'll take that answer and we will add it to 1/2. Okay, and we haven't talked about finding common denominators and adding numbers, but we'll get there. All right, so if I have 7/8 and 24 11ths, is there anything diagonal that has common factors? What are they?
8, 8, and 24.
The 8 and 24. Both of them are divisible by 8. Is 8 divisible by 8? Yes. Is 24 divisible by 8? Yes. So let's go ahead and just do that. Let's divide those puppies. And so if I do that, okay, they're not actual puppies, they're numbers. I'm sorry. 24 turns into a 3. 8 goes into 24 3 times. 8 goes into 8 1 time. Okay. So now I have 21 11ths. Okay, and this is where we haven't talked about finding common denominators, but we're going to go ahead and use the easiest common denominator. You can copy what I'm doing here, and I'll just talk as I go. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to multiply this side by 11 11ths, which really is easy to do. We're going to multiply this side by 2 halves. Okay, so 11 times 1 is 11. 11 times 2 is 22. 21 times 2 is 42. 11 times 2 is 22. And now we have an adding problem that we can do because we have common denominators. Unlike multiplying and dividing, with adding and subtracting, we have to worry about having the same exact bottom number. And that fancy word is called common denominators. All right, stand up if you've ever heard of common denominators before. You know, I think we all have heard of common denominators. Very good. Sit down. Okay, just super simple to do once we've started talking about this here. Now how much do I have? 11 and 42 make? 53. Okay, so 53 22nds. That means my answer is 53 over 22. But that's not in the box, the answer box next to it. Why not? Everybody?
If you haven't put it in the simplest form.
Right, it's not in its simplest form. This here number has a bigger top than bottom, so what do we call it?
Improper.
Improper. Improper fraction. And how do we fix improper fractions with bigger tops than bottoms? Yes.
You see how much the bottom number can go into it?
Yeah, you see how much that bottom number will go into the top number. You divide. Anytime you have an improper fraction that you need to fix, you divide. So let's do that. But I've ran out of room, so I'm going to have you guys divide that out. Who can give me the answer to that question? Wow, there's already 2 people who have their hand. 3. All right, Danica. 2 and 9 over 21? Oh, yeah. 2, 9 over 22. Now, is that number in the answer box next door? Yeah, okay, so that answer is there. So she just did a division problem. And you remember what we used to call remainders? Well, remainders are now going to be numerators, or in other words, top number of your fraction. So when she got done dividing that out and she subtracted, she got a remainder of 9. But now we take that 9 and we put it over the denominator of 22. So she has 2 and 9 22nds. Okay. We still have lots of time, so did we want to do one more of the problems together?
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pick one. I think I'm going to pick another one of those order of operation problems with adding in it because we do have really not a lot of experience yet this year in adding using common denominators. So I think we should do number 20. The other ones are multiplying and dividing, which we have a handle on. When you multiply, we've got that. And when you divide, you flip and multiply. So it's the same thing. So we're going to do number 20 next. This was number 21, this particular question. There's still some pencils moving, so I'm thinking that maybe you guys are still working on 21 or copying something from the board, or are you done? Okay. My kids are all done with number 21 and ready to move on to 20. How about the other classes?
We're good.
All right, so I'll switch my Jamboard to a clean plate here. Okay, then I have to switch this one too. And number 20 says 3/1 divided by 9/11 plus 1/3. Oh, I didn't switch to black. Oh well. Can you guys see the blue okay in your guys' rooms? Galses, guyses, people? So the thing we have to take care of is the flip and multiplying first. Flip and multiply. I always flip the second number, the divisor. So this will look like this, and then later I'll add that 1/3 to it. Okay, so I'm going to simplify before I multiply. Diagonally, I see a 9 and a 3. 9s and 3s have a 3 in common, so I'm going to simplify before I multiply. I'm going to cross the 9 out. 9 divides by 3, and I get 3. 3 goes into 3 once. Okay. So now I can multiply just the fractions in the front there, and I end up with 11/3. Oh, this one will turn out okay, because 11/3 added to 1/3 already has a common denominator, doesn't it? So we don't have to do finding the common denominator on this problem. And 11 plus 1 is 12, and you keep that same denominator when you add a fraction. So my answer is 12/3. Is that one of the answers in the box? No, because it's bigger on the top and smaller on the bottom, so it's improper. So what do? We divide, right? So 12 divided by 3, everybody?
4.
4. Our answer for this problem is 4. Okay, do you guys think you can flip and multiply? I think I can flip and multiply. This isn't so terrible, Mrs. Franzen. It's a lot of problems though, isn't it? You should give us one free answer, Mrs. Franzen.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, do it.
I'm feeling super generous.
25, 19, 25. Oh, no.
Number 25 is too easy to give you a free answer on. I would feel silly doing that. Let's do number 24.
Exactly.
24, 9/16 divided by 18, divided by 8. I'm trying to do it in my head. I cannot. I cannot do that in my head. So 9/16 divided by 18, divided by 8. I work from left to right. 9/16 times 1/18 is
Wouldn't it be 18/1?
no, 18/1 is what we started out at it as. It was a whole number.
Can you simplify 9 and 18? Or
Can you? I can. All right. So then I have 1/36 multiplied by 2 is 32.
what?
16 multiplied by 2 is 32.
I said 36. It's 32. Oh,
I did say 36. I was having one of those moments. So I'm going to change this automatically. I'm going to go multiplied, and this is supposed to be 8 over 1, so now 1 over 8. So I have 8 over 32.
You wrote 8 over 1.
Oh, I didn't flip it. Franzen, you can't flip and multiply? What's wrong with you? You have to remember to flip that second number. Flip and then multiply. Whew, thanks for catching that. So now I have to multiply 8 times 32. Gosh, Mrs. Franzen, that's a lot of work.
156.
Well, that's a wonky looking fraction, isn't it? If you have something that is cut into 256 pieces, it probably started really big. Or if it didn't, you have really tiny, tiny pieces. Is that one of the answers that you can choose from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you have to do that.
Well, there's another one that's even bigger, 1 over 729. Okay. You know what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave my meet going, but I'm going to stop recording. And if anybody has any questions from the other classrooms, they can just go ahead and unmute themselves and ask throughout this class period for help. And then also, if you take it home, what else can you do? Well, you can text me. It seems to work pretty good for those people who've tried it. It works really well because I kind of talk back and forth. I send them pictures of my cat. Yeah, it's fun. So if you haven't tried that yet, I encourage you to. There'll be a new homework assignment with only 10 questions. This one is going to be worth extra credit, but not quite as much as last time. So if you haven't tried big ideas, I would do it tonight before I stop giving extra credit, because I don't think I'll continue giving extra credit for big ideas, because pretty soon I'm going to be giving assignments through big ideas instead of paper pencil assignments, because I have this sneaking suspicion things might have to go digital eventually. So I want you guys used to being on big ideas. And the great thing then in big ideas is those people who need harder problems and more challenging problems, I can actually assign them a whole different assignment than the other kids who might need a little bit of an easier set of problems. So I can differentiate better if I do it digitally. And then the bonus there is it automatically grades most of the questions. So, okay, I'm gonna mute myself so I don't keep talking, because I could talk to you guys for all day.
Are we allowed to work in partnerships?